What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Between Two Heads. My name is Jameson Welbourn. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Addison DeMoura. And today we are joined by the creator of Wilson, the owner of Masonics on Fairfax, coming live from Masonics on Fairfax, the one and only Masonic smoker, Big Mace. Thank you so much for coming, bro.
Thanks for the introduction, my G. I forget I'm the owner of Masonics on Fairfax, you know? That's what's up, bro. I appreciate that, man.
Man, I know you love your dabs. We love our dabs. This is going to be a good one. We're about to get deep into it. Before we start touching on all the cool projects that you got going on today, as always, we want to take it back and learn about those early days. So you grew up in Compton. What was that like? What was your childhood like?
I grew up on 111th and McKinley Avenue, which is like in the 90059 zip code, which falls under like Watts, South Central type of deal. So I grew up there like till I was 18, to say the least, you know, and then I moved to Compton, which is right next door. And that's kind of where I've been growing till now, for sure.
So let's take it back to Watts and talk a little bit about what childhood was like. Like I want to learn a little bit more about what Lil Mace was like growing up. I know we've talked about, you know, I've listened to a few of the interviews you've done, and I wanted to know, you know, what was family life like growing up? Was cannabis present? Was that something that you were aware of before you became aware of it?
Cannabis, the way cannabis was present as a child and growing up in the hood was you'd see like zigzag wrappers on the ground and you'd smell it around. But, you know, that was like my first literal and figuratively whiff of cannabis, was smelling it in the air. And I'd just be like, as a child, I remember it was like core memory, like, damn, what's that fucking stank, you know? And I always liked it, even as a little kid. I wasn't like, oh, that's nasty, you know? I was like, damn, like, that smells kind of good. And it smells like nasty, but it's good. Like I could deal with that, you know? And, you know, that was my first whiff of weed. And, you know, as time went by, I would hear it in all the rap songs, because that's what my dad would, you know, listen to. We listened to rap, but he didn't smoke weed. He didn't want us to smoke weed. Like that was not the wave, especially in the hood. You get caught with weed, like they'll fuck with you, you know? Like that's what he thought as well, and partially true. So that's
how much was music an influence on you growing up? You touched on that a little bit, and I see, you know, following your social media, you're very active in the hip hop culture. Was that something that was adopted at a young age?
Yeah, my dad, you know, he's in the lowrider culture, so he like, you know, that's what they listen to. They listen to hip hop, and on my mom's side, they're like more. My grandpa was a musician, and all his kids were musicians, and they listen to like rancheras and stuff like that. So I got, you know, the best of both worlds as far as, you know, the urban was concerned, the urban inner city music, and, you know, the ranch Mexico lifestyle. Yeah. So that's what I grew up on. Those are the roots of my music expansion, for sure.
Were you exposed to like agricultural communities, or were any of your family involved in agriculture growing up?
Yeah. So as a child, my parents would make us go live with my grandpa every summer vacation, every winter vacation. And that's what he did for, like, you know, to make money. He would plant corn and harvest corn and plant tomatoes. So, you know, they would make us go do that. Like, hey, like you're going to go, you know, plant corn, or you're going to go harvest corn, even to the point where we even made our own. They're called piscadores, and I don't know how to say it, but it's like, it's how you harvest the dry corn, and you throw it into a petaca, which is a fucking thing made out of like straw. And I'm like literally in 5th grade doing this shit, fucking throwing corn into the back of a basket, throwing it into the back of a pickup truck. So I was exposed to agriculture pretty freaking early in my life, you know?
Oh, absolutely. So what was your first experience with cannabis like?
First experience with cannabis was in Mexico. My grandma, she was very like free and liberal. Like she just let us do whatever the fuck we wanted. And like first time we found like a tobacco plant, she let us take the tobacco, dry it, and smoke it in fucking, you know, school paper, you know. And then one time the town drunk had gave one of my uncles, he's only a year older than me, you know, a big bag of fan leaves. And yeah, we smoked some fucking fan leaves. So that was like my first exposure to cannabis was like 5th grade, you know, but we didn't get like high. We were just like smoking, you know, whatever the fuck.
So in other interviews you've done, you talk about, you know, coming up and you actually share the story about your grandma buying you chips so that you could hustle chips and candy and like work like that on the side thing. Was that something that like you were born with? Or do you think that that came up from being around, you know, other hustlers and other people who made things happen like that?
I I don't know, man. Even like, you know, before the chips and the snacks that she would get me to double up on or just kind of maintain my habit. I was always like a dude that grabbed his Pokemon cards, organized them really well, and like put 50 cents, a dollar, you know, blah blah blah, and just like I was always, you know, like that. I don't know where that stemmed from. My father owns and operates a tow truck company, but like that wasn't till like later on that he like settled that. But you know, safe to say we were always hustle and bustle, and you know, my dad was always like, you know, make sure you take care of your pocketbook type of thing, you know.
That's very cool. So in school early on, were you like quietly reading comics in the back of the class, or were you like a distraction that the teachers have to manage?
Oh man, I let me think. Like I didn't have comic books and stuff when I was a kid. Like that was like something I always wanted. I always liked the superhero concept. I always there was no internet. There was just a couple of movies that we had. A show would come on. There wasn't like Netflix, so like every time you got exposure to like a superhero, like you had to be there and you had to watch it right then and there because there was no like going on YouTube and rewatching Batman. There was none of that. Like you really had to watch Freakazoid when it was on TV and watch whatever. So I was always a fan of just the cartoon world, and that is kind of like the comic world. So as soon as I got a little scratch, you know, around 9th grade, you know, my parents got a little bit, you know, their little scratch. I'm like, I told my mom, I'm like, hey, like take me to the comic store. Like I've always wanted to read comics, and I grabbed myself a stack, and ever since then I've been an avid reader of comics. But in school, I was always like kind of quiet, to be honest. I was never like, you know, trying to distract the class or anything like that.
And did you graduate from school? Where'd you graduate from?
I graduated from Locke High School in South Central LA. I went to San Pedro High School as well, 9th and 10th grade, but they kicked me out of San Pedro. I was a knucklehead in high school, that's for sure. But like middle school, elementary, I was a little, you know, I just kept to myself. But as soon as high school came around, I had to be a little bit outspoken with all the freaking assholes that are in high school, you know?
So LA's probably crazy, so I can imagine.
Yeah, no doubt.
What when did you grow your first plant, Mace?
Probably like 9th grade. I remember just popping a seed into a solo cup and just letting it ride out and kind of die. And that was like my first time popping a seed. And then, you know, after that, maybe around high school graduation is when I started to like really throw plants in the ground. And because I dropped the bag literally and figuratively again. Like my dad bought me a pound of weed in high school, and he bought it to me. I thought he bought it because, hey son, like you graduate high school, here's a pound of weed, like smoke it. Nah, he kind of bought it for me to double up, go buy another one, and maybe, you know, start a business in cannabis. You know, traditionally, this is before all this fucking, you know, kiosk weed fucking scene we have right now. So yeah, that happened, and I dropped the bag really hard on that one. Like I just smoked most of it, made a little money, spent a lot of money, and my dad's like, "So where's the money?" And I'm like, "Oh, like I got DVDs, I got comic books, you know, like I got all this cool shit, you know." And he's like, "Nah, like that wasn't the point, you know." And that kind of happened. So that when I dropped the bag, 8th grade, I mean graduation summer when I graduated, um, I'm like, man, my dad took the weed, he gave it to my big brother to sell it. And I'm like, I don't have no more weed anymore. Like that lifestyle just gone, just like that in a flash. And he still had like some hope in me. And I just, he hit up the dude that sold him the pound. He's like, no, he's going to have to grow it like you do, because he ain't the hustler. And he bought a bunch of like 17-gallon drums where you like put your, you know, refreshments and stuff at a barbecue. And he bought a couple of those, bought steer manure and Miracle Grow, and filled them all up equal parts, you know, half and half. and like some random clones. And that was like my first grow that my father set me up with. And I wasn't like a grower yet. I was still like smoker, still like I'm Masonic smoker, not Masonic grower. So I was still a smoker. Like, man, what? Like that's slow. Like I don't want to do that. Like, can we just get the pound of weed again and like just get back to it? And nah, like I learned to really respect the plant, and like the only way you were ever going to get that lifestyle back again was probably from this point. And I little by little I just try to replicate that weed bag through an outdoor scene before all this access of info, you know. So I'm just like, man, how do I fuck it, we're just popping whatever comes around. And I just started growing weed, and my parents would let me. And next thing you know, 5 years into growing weed in the backyard, like as a hobbyist, trying to just maintain my high, to say the least. I bump into Instagram and go down. I'm oblivious to everything. I just know what I know till this day. And dude, I just went down the rabbit hole, and I already had a love for it. I already had a 5 year love as far as growing, and a little bit longer as far as smoking was concerned. And it just tied into the love for the plant, and that's what kind of got me where I'm at.
It's like seeing the success you've had to date. Like, do you feel that, like, and seeing that your parents pushing you in that direction at a young age, and getting you, trying to set you up in maybe more ways than one, first with the pack and second with the grow, do you feel like this is what you're meant to be doing, or do you feel as though your life could have gone in a number of different directions and you would have been successful in many of them?
If they would, like, if the stigma for growing pot wasn't as crazy as it is right now, growing up, I would have probably been like something else, honestly, like, just to keep it 100. Cause I was always like very, just, I wanted to be like more and better, and just, like be like, be happy and shit. And I always looked at like the doctors and, the teachers and just people that I seem like they're just happy, and weed grower, weed seed maker was never like that. And it just kind of naturally came with all the bullshit that came with life. And I kind of just meditated with weed unknowingly, and it just kind of helped me with everything,
For sure. Lane, stayed in it,
yep.
Kept in that dread. But it's almost like it pulls you to it, whatever it is. Like you said, you weren't like the take the money, fold it, put it under the mattress, keep flipping guy. You were definitely something else. And it's like, but it seems like it does kind of, I mean, same here. Like, I'm sure Jameson say the same thing. It's like, just pulls you in, and you go in whatever direction it pulls you, and you end up being there, like, sticker plug or whoever. So what I was wondering is this: it sounds to me already from the start that your mom and dad have some serious game. Like, they're definitely not coming into this on any misunderstood. For a dad to put his son on, but in such a casual way to put him on, and then to have the wherewithal to say, you know what, this one's probably going to be a grower because this one's already a hustler. Then to take the product back, make sure it moves. So it seems like your dad probably put you on a lot of game. Like, before we get into, Edgar and Masonic and who you are, like, can you tell us a little bit about your dad? Like, what else can we learn about him?
So my dad is also born and raised in the city of South Central. He grew up on El Segundo in Vermont. He went to the same high school I went to, and he knows all the dudes that grew up in LA. So, like, I grew up around a true LA native, and he is he's a lowrider dude. That's what he identifies as his hobby. He's not a weed dude. He's a lowrider dude. He owns a tow truck company, like, he's very, some might call him like a boss, he's a boss,
yeah, yep.
And this is the guy that I had to deal with growing up.
That's funny.
So I'm a stoner and I get high, but he was always right there like, you're fucking just getting high. But like, he knows, because he was a hustler, and he has friends that are hustlers, but he wanted me, like, he didn't want that for me. He wanted me, like, be something else. But you can't, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know what I'm saying?
And in this case, it doesn't seem like it's a bad thing either, but
it is.
Now, your dad, most of the tow truck guys because my uncles are salvage tow truck dudes, right?
Yeah.
So most of those guys that I know are really fucking good under the hood of the car. Is your dad like a very hands-on mechanic kind of a guy for the cars?
Yeah, so like he builds lowriders and wins competitions. Like Kendrick Lamar and a lot of these major rappers like rent his lowriders for their videos and stuff like that. He wins like first place at the big shows, and he's very competitive when it comes to his cars in the lowrider world. He's kind of he's known in the scene as far as the lowrider scene. Like he's a Masonic smoker in the lowrider scene.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
for
very
sure.
Cool.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, Mace, going back to starting to cultivate, how many years are you cultivating and processing and selling to dispos before you start thinking about creating your own brand?
So I would always look at my backyard and be like, oh, like I could make like $5,000 or $10,000, you know, and that's exactly what would happen. Like I would grow a bunch of weed as a regular dude, like a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, got my wife going to school, got my son being, you know, whatever, being my son as a kid. And I just like, man, I need to make more money, you know, and supply my habit. This shit costs a lot. And I would just grow pot as much as I could in my backyard, kind of like the dudes did in the hills up in NorCal. And I would just, you know, take a muse and replicate what I seen and just pick up tech, learn tech, apply tech, you know, just whatever. And I would grow a lot of weed in the backyard for flower to trim down and make packs and backpack them on Compton Boulevard, door to door at the fucking at the places where you don't know if it might be your last time going into that fucking spot. So like, just like I would use my intuition and my gut instinct and not come off as a threat, very like this, like a dude with a fucking Pikachu shirt knocking on your window, asking if you want to buy weed. And they're like, what? And like, yeah, like I got weed. And that's how I did it for a while before anything, you know what I mean? And that was what I did. And this is before Instagram. This was just for me and my friends and my family, and that's it. There wasn't a 30,000 following. There was none of that. It was just, hey guys, what's up? I made some fucking cool shatter. Cool, you know?
That statement right there, though, just that whole part that you just said, that explains a lot now about what we see on Instagram and how you market yourself. And excuse me, if you're brave enough to go door to door in that setting. But I think you grew up also feeling very comfortable in that area because that's where you grew up and that's where you're part of. But still being able to do that, knowing that, it helps me understand a lot more about what I see online from you, because you just seem like you are so comfortable and sort of being yourself and allowing that to just represent who you are. So.
No doubt. And that's kind of, I never went in there, and I know you knew what could happen. I knew the consequences. Like I know I could get not my money back, but I use my intuition and my instinct of just living in the streets. And I knew if shit needed to get gangster, shit could get gangster just because I'm from this side of town and like, I'm not a pushover, and not that that's what I ever wanted. And thank God it never happened, you know? And my intuition worked to this day to not get fucked over, you know?
Yeah. Selling weed is an instinct, you know, it's like you learn kind of, and you get burned and you do different stuff. Though it sounds like those stakes are a little higher, especially in that sort of setting. But what was what during this time, you know, you say you're running around. How long did it take from that point to when you were, you know, you're growing, right? How long did it get to the point where you started breeding, where you started kind of putting things together like that?
So it was around the time that Exotics was around with Burner and Jungle Boys. Whenever they had their little collab, they were growing the Tropicana Thunder. And at the same time, I was growing the Tropicana Cherry Pie Tangy. This was before the Tropicana F2 rollout. This is before most of the Papaya Femmes had dropped. I think the Straw Guava was out already. So that's my best way of describing the time frame. So that's like 2017-ish, I want to say. Yep. So around that time is when I had the Tropicana Cherry Pie Tangy strain growing at the same time as Jungle Boys. They had it under Tropicana Thunder, and I already had a little following just because of my grow, not because of my genetics, not because of, I was just growing pot and I grew it K&F style, and I was in Compton. So these were already reasons to watch the dude.
Were you Masonic at this point?
I was Masonic already. I was Masonic smoker. So
there
I was
Masonic
already
flour and products before there were Masonic genetics.
Of course, that was already a thing. Like, but not Masonic. Like, it was just I was Masonic smoker on Instagram. I'm not telling the dudes at the shop I'm Masonic smoker on Instagram that lives around the corner that promotes his Compton backyard brand to the rest of the world. Later on in life, they found that out. Like, oh shit! Like, yeah, like I wasn't too keen on that. Like, you know, telling the dude exactly who I was. Like, it was just like, I got some weed. You want to buy it? Cool. You know, I wasn't big on social media. Just to my friends, just showing off my grow and soaking up game. That's all I was doing here. And so I'm growing the Tropicana cherry Pytangies, and I get some stray seeds, and people are inquiring on the stray seeds. And when I say stray seeds, I mean mystery seeds. It could have been a Mel that I didn't pull right away. It could have been a fucking Herm. I'm still like pretty novice to the tech, to say the least, on making seeds. And people are like, hey, like, you selling those? And I'm like, I guess I am, you know? And sold a couple here, $40 here, $40 there, $40 here. And I'm like, that's a lot of dough. And like, I don't got to break my back as much anymore. So not yet did I make a cross. I found a Mel, and I hit up Instagram. I'm like, hey guys, you know, I got this Mel. I'm still growing for cash crop. I don't want to pollinate my garden. You know, I'm still used to selling packs. Who wants to make seeds with this Mel? So sure enough, some dude reaches out. He was under the Instagram handle at the time was K&F Farmer. So that's how long we've been doing K&F, 5+ years, half a decade. He hits me up, and he's like, hey man, I'm from Rancho Cucamonga. I'm down to grab that Mel that you offered up. I have this Agent Orange and this Plushberry that I'm not too, you know, I just want to hit them because it's my first time growing and I want to make seeds already. And I'm like, whatever, dude, boom. And I give him the Mel. I'm still growing for cash crop. I'm still growing to supply myself and get high off flour, not fucking seeds. And I gave him the Tropicana cherry Pytangy. Sure enough, you know, 70 days later, it's kind of like a seed I planted, and I just kind of forgot about it. Hey, dude, those plants are ready.
Oh.
He's like, hey, dude, those plants are ready. You know, like, I got those beans. And I'm like, oh, shit, like, you're right. I did give you a Mel, and we do have beans. And as soon as he got them to me, just like now, just the same way I am now, they're for sale. And I got Agent Orange Tropicana cherry Pytangy and Plushberry Tropicana cherry Pytangy at like $50 a pack. And this was before anyone had made Tropicana hybrids, even before the Trop F2s. So, of course, the heads, the dudes that grow, the dudes that are on a genetic chase, me unknowingly, I made fucking, you know, I'm doing dope shit. So they inquired. Boom, I got Tropicana cherry Pytangies for sale. And we split the stock. You know, Warped kept his half. He's under the moniker Warped Genetics now. And I kept my half, and whatever. I just kind of pushed that envelope more than anyone was at the time. Before now, everyone's a fucking seed maker, everyone's a seed seller, everyone's a fucking breeder, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I was doing that 5 years ago. So, you know, and then I'm like, holy shit, like this, I got a kind of a calling for this. People appreciate me doing this, like, and I like it. It's fun. I don't gotta bust my ass growing all these huge plants, and I still do, but for a different goal. The end goal now is seed stock as opposed to flour to sell on the streets. And that's kind of how I made my first strain. Was kind of like a chocolate chip. Unknowingly, it was a demand more than a, yeah, of course I didn't do it for God. You know, I did it because I've been growing weed for money and sustain my habit. And growing this seed I love it too, but it just so happens to hit all those markers too, you know?
So was it immediately after that first cross and sharing the sales and the release of that cross that you were like, okay, this is something I'm going to start taking seriously? Or was it something that you slowly built into?
Slowly built into. So I did this pollination with the good graces of, you know, the makers, Oni. They kind of seen it, and they're like, cool, we're friends, everybody's happy. And this was Harry Palms at the time, because he made that stock. So Harry's like, cool, like fucking dope, you know? And now I'm getting Oni's attention, you know, because he's the creator of Trop F2 and kind of the guy that rolled out Oni and just like made it what it is now. And the reason everyone loves papaya and the reason everybody loves Trop is because of the way Oni rolled it out. That's facts. And I got Oni's attention, and they were having a show. I think it was Chalice, where they did the original Papaya Femmes, well, the second round of Papaya Femmes, and the Tropicana F2 rollout here in Adelanto. So I made it my mission to go out there and grow those for weed, right? I got the seeds, and I'm growing them for weed. But somewhere around week 3, I hit up Harry Palms, and I'm like, hey, man, I got this Trop F2 male, and I got your Papaya Femmes. Like, should I make it happen? Fuck yeah, he said. And boom, here goes another cross. But this time it's with my hands, you know? And boom, that's when I made Wilson, F1. That's when I made Three Pooties. Who runs Three Pooties still? Fruitopia, they love Three Pooties. That's when I made Trop Gun. That's Fabuloso from Arcade, across the Papaya, across the Trop. That's when I made Purple Punch Papaya across the Trop. Some people still grow that. And that's when I made Dosi Papaya across the Trop. So I had made those 5 strains with my own 2 hands. And that was like, you know, the official launch of like me taking Masonic seeds really serious, you know.
And so talk about a little bit about the relationship that formed between you and Oni, and was that relationship already formed by the time you're making these crosses, or was the making that cross and having that conversation really what solidified that relationship?
We already had, like, I was already a team player. Like, I was going hard for Oni. I still do. I'm team Oni till the day I die. And I'm like, Oni, you know, I make memes and, you know, do like a meme of like, oh, when people see Papaya, they got to go back to the drawing board, and just like things like that. And this was when Papaya had just hit the scene. So I'm already going hard for the team, and I make a strain for the team, and I hit up Oni because I found out that Oni is actually the maker of Trop F2, not Harry Palms. So I'm like, and actually
that's Oni Noodles, right?
Oni Noodles, and
so at the time, Oni Seeds was Oni Noodles and Harry Palms.
Exactly, and it was us 3 at one time. Yep. And then, you know, whatever happened. But yeah, I'm like, hey, dude, I made these strains, and he's like, oh, I was gonna make the Wilson, like, oh, that's he named Wilson. I was gonna do Banana OG Papaya Trop, but you kind of beat me to the punch, you know, like, let's work together instead of, and I'm like, fuck yeah, like, you know, like hell yeah, you know, like I get to sell seeds, dude, like, right. Yeah, you know. And that was like, you know, I took it serious, and it was really, you know, cohesively done. It wasn't like, oh, I grabbed some dude's tester seeds and I fucked them off, and I grabbed a cut I shouldn't have had. Like no, like I did a lot of legwork and a lot of, you know, just hanging around, being a team player to this day, to, you know, have my little lane, you know?
Well, it sounds like you weren't trying to be sneaky and own someone else's shit. And that's the fucking problem that like a breeder who creates something, if you come to them and go, hey, you know, this, and this, I want to, you know, you come that way, it makes sense. But you see too many people sometimes, it's obvious that they're using someone else's shit, and they're just being sneaky. That's when it crosses a fucking line. So that's dope that you kept it that way.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, that's my flagship strain. That's my bread and butter. That's the strain that I use to sell shit to people. Like, I'm not gonna, don't get me wrong, I grow everybody's gear, but hey, I pay for it and I grow it out, and sometimes they don't even grow it themselves. So it's like, like you can't be mad at me because I did this shit, and I don't like, you know, scream it to the bank like anybody else's gear. What I'm screaming to the bank is like, Wilson. This is what I worked on. This is my flagship. This is my stud. And that's what hits everything. And that's how I built my foundation. And everything else is more artsy now. I'm not going to go and like take someone else's sauce without giving them their money or their credit or anything like that. Yeah.
No, that's good.
After spending as much time as you have looking through the material that you've looked through, both your own and others, how special was Wilson? Like, it clearly was very special, but, you know, like, was that something where you went, man, you know, the stars really aligned on this one to be able to give you the mail that you were able to produce this body of work with?
I think there's a lot of, I lucked out, you know, like, I got a terpene profile that no one else was necessarily working with. and that I had at the time. It was like I had the right tool at the right time, and I stuck with it. Like I didn't try to fix the wheel after I made the Wilson. I didn't go hop on another project. Like I just kind of stuck to it. And I did have 5 things to choose from when I did my line. Like I had the Dosey, the Punch, the 3 Chem. Like these were my original starters, but I sat down with Oni and Harry Palms at the time in San Francisco, and we talked about what you were gonna do as you, like what are you gonna rep?
Yeah.
And it's the Wilson, and that's what I ran with. And it's that flavor profile, the banana OG cream, fruitiness with the purple on top. Like that was, I encapsulated that into seed form, and then made derivatives of it. And that's kind of what I struck the lotto with that. As soon as I did.
Right.
I didn't have a mimosa, I didn't have a Tangy, I didn't have a GMO, all these other things that would have been even harder to rep, because this is the team that I rep, so it was all cohesive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you did a really beautiful job creating that platform, and I think that other makers probably had some really special males that maybe they didn't focus on as much as they should have, because they wanted to show a multitude of variability in their lines. And I think what you did, focusing on Wilson, created international notoriety, where especially in hash communities, nobody doesn't know what Wilson is and who made it. So I think you've done a really incredible job with that. What what happened after Wilson? Like, was it immediately like, okay, this is the platform and we have to build it, or what was the next step in your story?
Just keep growing weed, but this time with the sole purpose for making seed stock and just skimming through seeds. So now that I had more resources, to say the least, like I can go buy seeds and network with people and get seeds because of the name that I built for myself. Mm-hmm. So I just got like more shit to look at, and that's where I'm at today, because I never, like, the road didn't stop. It just kept opening up, and I'm able to skim through all these seeds, and all these cool people send me stuff, and I just kind of honed my stud, to say the least, and worked it into the network of people that I met, and people that are like, oh, you need to try these seeds, or this is hype right now, so I want to go buy it, or whatever the case be. And it just kind of encapsulates and makes it easier for me to encapsulate the fun and the history of the plant as I go along. I don't have to really think too much on what new mel I'm going to use, or try to just hold the plant down. I'm just having fun, just doing shit and throwing shit at the wall, and most of it sticks, and whatever really sticks, I revisit it, and whatever doesn't, it's all subjective too. So it's like, I'm just doing what I want to do. It's fun, and it's growing weed, and I love to grow it and smoke it even more, I think.
100%. So I think you answered this question, but are there plans to work that male in a specific direction? Or are you quite happy with the traits that he's passing, and you want to focus more on a different project?
So as far as like what I'm seeking in seeds, to say the least, is new terps. That's it. Like structure, that's fine. Everything kind of comes with it, with the freshness of a fresh seed pack and everybody's vision. But like I'm looking for that next flavor, that shit that nobody has. I don't want another GMO hybrid. I'll make more GMO hybrids because people haven't had any, but like I personally am not going to revisit that or like market that. So I'm like looking for the next best thing, or things that, or like kind of like getting the fire from something that is like too expensive, to say the least, or something that people really can't grab. And I'll go get that fire and bring it to them via the Wilson vessel, and that's kind of how I get down. And as far as like what Wilson brings into the plant, like, it turns out it hashes it up. So cool. Like we'll that's what it does. And that's it. I might revisit it to make more seed stock and back cross it and just make it more Wilson-y, to say the least. Yeah. But that kind of just Wilsonifies it. Not too much, but that's cool and all. But it's just more so to make more seed stock. Yeah. And just have more for people, to have a Cushman's hybrid, to have a GMO hybrid, to have a Starfighter, to have a BLR, like all these things that you know, you can go and do your due diligence and have the access to the knowledge and all, but if Mace is there and he's got it all, fucking one-stop shop, boom, in and out. And that's not because, you know, it's just because of that's just how I got down. I knew that was a dope thing and I crossed it. I went out of my way to do it. It didn't happen for no reason. It's what I do.
I like it. Increased Wilsonification.
Yeah, something like that.
I love it.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your newly launched No Wilson line and what that project's about.
All right. So I popped a bunch of really nice seeds during last year around this time. And I flowered them out, and I have the clones of all of them, and I know what they do. But during that pollination, during that grow, I left a couple males around, not just one male. Intentionally left a dark rainbow male, root beer pure face off tie, rainbow chip froyo, and there's like one more. I think it was the violet flame under fire from Select Genetics. And so I left those males around to hit, you know, GDP original haze, GMO rainbow belts, strawberries, you know, grease monkey, lemon tree, fruity pebbles, OG Skittles, peach, Z project from Exotic, just super lemon haze, Jack Hare, green crack Owen haze, pre 98 cross to Black Lime Reserve, Band-Aid haze cross to pre 98. The list goes on. So I did open pollination with those three males I had mentioned amongst these females. And it's just like another way to, like, you know, you can't just get up and go get yourself a dark rainbow pack. Like they're sold out, they're dead stock, they're whatever the case. But, you know, you can come grab some with me and whatever. I'm not like, it's just another thing. I'm not like, I didn't make a dark rainbow line. Shit, I did a dark rainbow open pollination, you know, and it's dope. I think it's really fucking dope. And it kind of takes the like, oh, but like you have to do it like this and you have to do it like that. Nah, I did an open pollination cross 4+ years ago with the Face Off OGI95 Star Dog, where I crossed it to when Capulator had did the Mac 1 and when the meat breath had dropped. So, you know, like, this isn't the first time I do this, and all the progeny from that, people still ask me for Motor Mouth. They're like, where's fucking Motor Mouth? I'm like, that was like a fun project, you know? And so I revisited something around that way. It's all like, you have to do it like this. You got to do it like that. Nah, G, like, do whatever the fuck I want. And this is what I did. And either you like it or not, you know, there's no fucking book or stone that says that's how you must breed. Yeah, there's dudes that do it ways that some might like better than others. And that's literally what it is.
I mean, I hate to tell anybody, but the plant's doing more than any of us.
Facts.
Put them together at the right time, and that's how it works. So it's like, yep. I hate when people do that, when they try to tell you that. And I think that's probably where a lot of your success is coming from. You're not asking anybody. You're just sort of feeling it out and you know, with your eyes closed, just running through that shit and figuring out what works. And if that worked before, it's a process that you apply that works again. It's fucking smart.
It's worked before, and why doesn't it work? Because someone's telling you it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what works a lot of the time? A different fucking approach.
Facts.
And that's, you know, too many people want to sit. I mean, I think it's ego. They want to stamp that they are associated with X approach, and then now you're working for them, and it's almost like, go fuck yourself, man. You know? Yeah. Shit doesn't progress that way.
This is like
not in this game.
This, I am like a grower. I am a smoker. I skim through everybody's book that they drop. Like, I'm not just some oblivious dude who just is like I'm a free thinker, and I know this No Wilson shit, this No Wilson line. These are primo packs. This is crazy genetics. Like, this isn't just some, like, yeah, I have like access and I do it so quick and I do it so fast, but that's because I don't box myself in. I don't tie myself down. I'm the sole dude that does it. Like, I don't have some dude in another state and some other hands. Like, I am well aware of everything that's flowing through these fucking hands. And it's a different vessel, and I move differently. And people are like, oh, that's how, this is a new game. This whole hopping online on the fucking FaceTime with a breeder, this is all new. So it's like
having a store.
Yeah, these rules kill me, man. It's like, what are you talking about, bro? Like they're over there talking about rules, fucking smoking out of a Chaz banger and a Burns-O-Matic. Like, miss me with your rules. I don't want to know your rules if that's what you're smoking like, you know?
Exactly. You know, it's funny. It's a great segue off of this is into our not so good friends at the DEA coming out and wanting to be our friends by making the announcement that cannabis seeds are legal, essentially. What do you think about that? What was your feeling when you saw that?
I the way I look at it is they know what we're doing for starters. Like the players of the game, there's some fucking Seymour in the back writing everybody's name down and making sure he's tallying up everything. I'm well aware of that. That's fine. It's just pushing that line. Like I never pushed that line where I'm just this mega trap star and just like flashing and making it like, damn, like we got to go get his ass. So that I've always been like that. And then even with like peace of mind a little bit, but I've always had peace of mind because I never pushed that line.
Well, not to interject, but some would say having the first fucking seed store with swinging doors would sort of push that line. I think
5 years into the game, and you know, but not that I could have.
The only time I ever walked into a store that sold seeds was in Amsterdam. I've never been in any other spot, and then Germany or in Switzerland. But then to go and see your spot and then to get into it, and that we could talk about the shop a little bit now too, I think, but to get into it and go walk in the doors and to see not just, I mean, it's beautifully laid out, but then also to see and to get an understanding of how the product offering that you visually see is connected to, you know, the things that you would actually be there for, and just really cleverly done. Like I really loved it. I love some of the products. I'd love for you to go through some of those products and talk about that.
Yeah, talk about how the idea materialized, Mace.
So t-shirts. So early in the scene, I was well aware of me being a novice seed maker, novice breeder. To this day, I'm like a student. I'm always a student. And I had to separate myself from the rest. And how do I separate myself from the rest? I was already a personality to be dealt with. I was outspoken, a kid from Compton, growing weed, KNF. He knows how to make memes. He's witty. He's funny. He's clever. Yada yada. I already had the character. But I have my things I like. Like I like cool shit. I like stuff that other dudes like. I like hip hop. I like cartoons and comics, and you know, and I would put it on a t-shirt. So that's how I started. Like, you buy a pack, you get a t-shirt off the rip, no fucking questions about it. And shit, papaya trop crosses with the fucking t-shirt, I'll take fucking 5, you know? So that's kind of how my product placement started, was with that t-shirt. And this was with a cartoonesque t-shirt, you know? I had like funny t-shirts, you know, like, you know, the Sonic, or, you know, the Wilson playing the guitar, or me holding a cat as a cat, me holding. All right, so I would have all these t-shirts, and that kind of started the wave of me, you know, just making more t-shirts. And I would hit up artists that I liked on Instagram that didn't do weed graphics, and I'd be like, man, you need to make me a graphic. And it started with like Chingaderia. He goes under the moniker FKN Rad, and just dudes in the community like, hey man, I'm an artist, and look at this, what I did for you. And I'll be like, fuck, that's dope. Throw it on a tee. And, you know, throw it on a tee, and we're just throwing fucking any graphic on a tee, like very serious with my craft. And that's what I did. I took pride in my company, and I put shits on tees. And next thing you know, we're making like mouse pads, and they got the dab mats, and I'm making just random shit. And then the storefront came along, and I'm like, man, let's make an action figure. Let's make a poster. Let's make, you know, playing cards. We got croc giblets. It's just,
the fanny pack is one of my favorites.
The fanny pack, and that's another thing. Like when I made the Fairfax store, like I made sure to separate it from the product that was already being, you know, dropped through e-commerce, you know, online through Instagram or whatever. So I I invested into quality, you know, cut and sew t-shirts and hoodies and fanny packs. So everything that like came with the Fairfax store on this prime location, like dudes left with like a quality product, to say the least. They didn't leave with like some
rinky-dinky Alibaba toy or some fucking warehouse-made T-shirt where they just slap some shit on and it's sweating into your shit. Like, nah, everything here was made in quality. So like that also helped a lot with, you know, kind of, you know, pushing the accessory apparel brand.
Mm-hmm. No, it's unique, man. It's definitely, you know, anybody listening, if you're in LA, you got to check it out. It's on Fairfax. It's one of those spots that's like, and you never know. You walk in and Mason's there just taking dabs. Like, there's a lot of stuff around there, but it has. You're right. Like if you walk around and pick up the products, everything is quality. That's the one thing that I did notice. Like from the fanny pack to the deep, you know, the comic books or the books that you had, the coloring books, just different stuff that's all from all different places, all kind of different areas. And then the hoodies, the T-shirts, everything that's in there is well made too. So it definitely does have that sort of interesting vibe. But the other part of it is you go in there and you may be in mind like, oh, this guy sells seeds, and then you come in and all you see is sweatshirts and other stuff. How does that sort of, is that a conversation? Like, what is, I don't understand that. How does that?
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt that they're like free thinkers and that everyone kind of gets the gist. And it's like, hey, dude, like, of course we don't have like a fucking rolly thing with all the seed packs on it, you know? Like it's like you can hop online and buy $1 million worth of seeds and be in the store while you're doing it. So it's like, I kind of try to take that out of people's heads, but like, but it's the satisfaction of leaving with the seeds when you go to the store. So I accommodate that with like just having stuff in my pockets, you know what I mean? So all in all, like it's more of a you know, like a safe haven. Like when I have an event, I'm not gonna have it in Compton, of course. I'm not gonna, like, I don't gotta hit nobody up. Like, it's just like, boom, we're going to Fairfax, and it's a good place to network. I've met so many people here, and it's like a topic when people are like, hey, he has the store on Fairfax, as opposed to like, he makes dope genetics. But like, fine, if that's the game they want to play, like, fuck it. Like, I do got a store on Fairfax, motherfucker. Like, what's up, you know? And it's dope because it wasn't easy. I had to invest a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and I really had to set my mind on this. This isn't an easy spot to get, and we got it, and it happened, and it's cool because it stamped me as like a whatever, you know, like a approval from the streets, a tastemaker, you know, like so it just helps add to the portfolio. And Supreme's on here, Tyler the Creator's across the street, Stravinsky's is next door, John and Vinny's is right here. You know, this is like shit. I'm right next door to fucking some cool players of the game, to say the least, in their own field, you know?
No, that's dope. Sure. Yeah, it has that feel to it for sure. And it's in an interesting spot. I think what you do is you give people a lot of things to kind of talk about, whether it's YouTube channel, your love for Pokemon, collecting cards, collecting other stuff, being a barterer who's constantly, you know, on social media, putting all this on social media and presenting it all while marketing, but also breeding, also, you know, doing all these other things. And I think that, like, earlier when you said you were talking about like you coming up and how you came up, I think I keep coming back myself to like, it's that, I think it has a lot more to do with growing up and probably seeing your dad as a, you know, a tow truck driver. Those guys have crazy hours. They work hard, you know, like that influence in your life, I think gave you a really strong work ethic, because what I see from the outside knowing you is like, you're constantly fucking going. Like, you know, I pass out at 9 p.m. and wake up at like 5, but I see you, you know, up until all hours of the night, constantly promoting the company, going into the shop, opening up, I know that you and I do other business together. So it's like we have, you know, you do business too. You're in business calls and you do other things. It's like, but I think that work ethic, along with all the rest of this, is really like the secret sauce, because otherwise a lot of people wouldn't be able to accomplish all these things or put all this shit together, or even have the bandwidth to juggle all of it and make it all, you know, and not go crazy and not be lashing out or getting nuts. So it's, you know, it's definitely one of those crazy things. Do you have a special diet or anything that you do besides your Sunday boxing?
So
that might be, you know.
So it turns out like I've been doing this thing people call intermittent fasting or something like that.
Intermittent fasting. Yep.
I've been doing that unknowingly since I was 15 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I always just wanted to smoke weed. So I like would have to like be sneaky and like miss my breakfast meal or just like I would be smoking weed instead of eating. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that just happened till this day. I haven't had a bite, you know, and I'm just like, maybe I should eat soon, you know, and whatever. That maybe I should eat soon will last for 3 to 4 hours until I'm like, oh, I'll go grab a bite, you know?
Yeah, high doses of THC will suppress appetite.
I'm pretty high dosed, you know what I mean?
Yep. I'm good with you. I know.
I'm dosed up.
Mace, you recently did something called Free Seed Day, and it was a resounding success with a tremendous amount of interest. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Hell yeah, let's talk about Free Seed Day. So, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. So I got, you know, a good foundation, homies, followers, fans that like uphold me and they put me in a spot I'm like a fucking politician and you know, and they vote with their dollars, and every now and then I got to make sure that we do some shit that's dope for everybody and has nothing to do with money, to say the least. Yeah, we got to make some scratch, but like this is for the culture and solely for the culture. And on 9/11, it just so happened to fall on 9/11 of last year. We did the first Free Seed Day, and it happened on a whim because I'm a fan of comic books, and comic books, they have a free comic book day every year. So I go to Free Comic Book Day for forever. You know, I've always been like the first one in line. I'm here, guys. And they, you know, I'm a nerd. And I'm sitting at my shop one day, and Free Comic Book Day is happening. It's a Saturday. I have to open my own store. I can't just go to Free Comic. And I'm in a position where I don't need to go to Free Comic Book Day. Like, I know the shop owner. I spent a little scratch there. They hooked me up. So I didn't go. And while I'm sitting there, I'm still missing out on it. And I'm like, man, a Free Seed Day would be fire. Like, just like DC, Marvel, Image, Dark Horse, all these independent comic book companies, you know, give comics to the comic book shops around the world to give out to the world, you know, well, the United States every year. I'm going to try that amongst myself, by myself, with all my Rolodex of breeders that I know that are cool, like the DCs, the Marvels of the breeding game. I'm going to try to reach out to somebody of that stature to kind of get the crowd rolling. And then maybe all these indie artists will take notice and be like, I want to be part of, you know, if Exotic's on there, I mean, I guess I'll go on there too, you know? So that's kind of how that happened, you know? These dudes that are hobby seed makers are like, fuck it. Like, you know, and you know, people trust me too. It's not just some asshole that came out of nowhere that's like, hey guys, I'm having a Free Seed Day. I'm gonna, you know, like we kind of trust Mace. You know, I had all this inventory, and I had the my wife and my cousins and everybody helped me break them down and put them into bags. And the first Free Seed Day was 9/11. We had about 600 people or something like that. We had a lot of motherfuckers, and they all came and they all grabbed their shit. And then the more recent one, I couldn't wait to do the other one. The only reason we had it on 9/11 was because everyone just couldn't wait to get out again. COVID was happening. Everyone's schedule was fucked up. I'm like, man, Free Seed Day needs to happen right before popping season. Like everyone just throws their shit into the fucking storage like in September. So sure enough, I did. And I rolled it out. And this time I didn't reach out to nobody. Like, I'm like, man, they know what's up. I'm on this bitch every day. I'm telling motherfuckers Free Seed Day for 3 months straight. The message got across, you know, like if they didn't get it, that's because they didn't want to be a part of it. No hard feelings. I get it. And I just put the message out, Free Seed Day. Whoever wants to be a part of it, to be a part of it. Bing, 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 bing. You know, it was slower than last time. At least it felt like it, you know? And then little by little, I'll post like some hot shot breeders, and then, you know, more dudes will be like, oh, fuck yeah, you know, I want to be part of that, you know? So it happened again, and sure enough, I got all this seed stock, and this time I got like 1,000 motherfuckers just wrapped around the whole block. Boom, boom. But I was prepared. I had 1,000 bags. I'm like, I got you, motherfuckers. So we were good to go, bro. Everybody went. Whoever wanted a bag got a bag. Everyone went home, and it was a dope fucking day, man. Another one for the books.
What's the aftermath that you've seen from Free Seed Day 1? Have you seen a lot of feedback from a lot of stuff that people got? What's that look like?
Okay, so I got to smoke a couple of the strains actually from other breeders. Like some dude came to the shop. He's like, "Man, this is the cross I got from Homeboy in the free seed bag," and I'll be like, "That's dope!" Like,
That's cool.
it's just giving people more access and tools to play with. Like, there's dudes that got backyards that might not even have the the $100 for a 5-pack or even the $50. Like, life is real, and they got real shit to deal with. And here comes Free Mace with 30 fucking packs in a bag, and you just got to stand in line, and they'll throw them bitches in the ground. They'll make it happen, once they got that little, motivation, to say the least,
It's like Mace Hashi seed just coming in and sprinkling it on. And like,
that's literally what's happening, man.
I like it.
And they go and they give it to their friends, and they like share the love. So it's just like, overgrow, just
or even, you know what it could do too. I mean, because when you're giving people seeds, you're giving them males too. So it could, you could be starting young breeders, or at least pollen chuckers who then kind of get into something else, start doing something else. And
that's literally what's happening. Dudes are going out there, and they like, what I promote is knowledge and do whatever you want. So like, I've never been like, demean someone's vision or what they want to do with their art. If it's your first grow and you want to pollen chuck, have at it. But like, we all know, like, if you're doing it for money, like, good luck, buddy. And nothing against you. I don't hate nobody. I don't care. Like, just know you're gonna have a tough time. Like you should be growing to smoke your pod or have fun or do whatever you're growing. Like, or if you really are just like I really want to cross Purple Punch to Mimosa or whatever. Like if you're that fucking enthusiastic, yeah, maybe one day you'll wiggle a seat into the fucking breeding community. But all in all, it's like, all that, I totally endorse that. Like, do have at it, fucking
open
go make
source.
Crosses. Yeah,
open source. I think that's the best way to see stuff happen is to allow stuff to happen and to give to it and to push it along and to be a steward that helps it multiply, whether it's your time, whether it's something else. And that's, when you, and I tell anybody, like, if you're creating a project, don't think in that old mentality, like, how the fuck do I lock in X profit? Like, no, that's the wrong way to think. You got to think of it as, how many players are going to be involved? How many components are going to come together? And if each one of those components is able to make their own money, we're all going to get paid. We're all going to do well. But we also all are steering our own lane to make sure that the fucking project gets done. And there's not one dude pretending he knows everything, putting everybody together, because you obviously can't fucking know everything. It's like, business is better that way. And that's, when I look at what you're doing with your seed breeding, it is open that way, especially giving out genetics. A lot of breeders wouldn't think that would be good for their business. But I think people see that you're open and willing and sharing, and also too, the other thing about you is that you're very accessible. That's another thing, is that if somebody has an opinion or something else, they can sort of come in and either DM or actually walk right into your store and have a conversation from you or with you. And that's like, that's a big part. You're kind of this larger sort of thing, and all these different components that make it all go. But it's definitely working. I see you inspiring other cats. Like, I looked the other day and I saw, my buddy Ed, Cali Connection. I think they have a shop now, and I was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. Like, that, now you have a fucking storefront. That's good. That's like a good thing to see, that guys are doing that and able to do that more, because it's gonna put more seeds out there, and it's gonna make it where I think that people get to scratch that itch. Like you were saying, if you're just dying to breed this with this, well, now you can have them. Now you can fucking, I got plants right here. Like, you can propagate them. You can sit there. You can do selection, and it won't move. This whole thing won't move. The next crazy thing won't come if you don't open it up and let everybody fucking play.
Yep.
It's like everybody has the same opportunity to look out for the cat shit in the litter box.
My thing is being realistic too. Like, how are you going to tell someone they can't do something? Point blank, period. With anything, like,
good luck.
And they have the seeds, they're growing them out. They're like, but where's my stapler? Like, they're gonna burn the bitch down, motherfucker, if you tell them no. Like,
Mavericks. I always say that. Mavericks, man. People don't want to fucking have that shit. They want to make sure that they that they have something in their head and they want to make it happen, and that's good though. You're promoting it. But.
Yeah. Oh, my Stabler, that killed me, bro. I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to take it back. I want to talk about your first dabs, your first experience with concentrates. I know you're a big dabber now, Mace. Was that always the case? Like when you were blasting shatter, were you big into that too?
Yeah. Speaking of, let me put this on mute real quick and get
bro.
loaded real quick.
Let's do it.
I like it. I like it.
I'll join him. Oh man.
I should take another dab. This new banger's fucking weird, man. This thing is what do you think of bangers now? They're going, it's out of control. It went from like slurpers.
I'm a huge fan of
the tech is just insane, bro. I got this what is it? Black market glass?
Yeah.
And that's what yeah. Black market glass. This thing is a tornado or whatever the fuck, or Terpnado, I think it's called or something. I don't know. But here it is.
It's about the slurpers. I mean, when I heard Mace in the interview, like I like to take hot dabs off slurpers. I mean, I know I found my brother, because that's pretty much where I like to live.
I don't know about the hot dabs part, but you know, slurpers I like. You just have to be standing up because
I love how you stand up before your dab.
If it's a big dab, I gotta stand up. You know,
you stretches and shit.
I'm doing yoga breathing and shit. I'm like resetting the diaphragm. There's real energy going into this shit, dude.
It's true, man. Ain't coming out.
You know what I realized too? If you watch people while they're heating up a nail and they're getting ready to dab, a lot of them aren't breathing. They're taking like short, shallow breaths.
I breathe like that.
What I tell people is like when you're heating up the nail, heat it up far away from you and be like, and like start taking those like deep yoga breaths and get your shit fucking flowing, because then when you have all that time to like reset the diaphragm, breathe, and then when it's time, you really get to work. You know, you put in the best energy flow that you have on that rib.
I'm doing it right now.
I'm gonna heat up, boys.
Oh man. How you doing, G? Good.
Yeah, no, there's definitely something special about good hash. Definitely is. There's very few things like it in life. Yeah, Mace knows how to smoke.
Can we do shameless promotion of the hash we're smoking?
Absolutely, let's go. What are you smoking on, buddy?
I'm smoking American Hash Co's Pink Papaya. Shout out my homie.
I'm smoking my homie Canadian Dabs. He's got the Fruit Joy, which is the Barbara Bud by Papaya.
Love it.
It out 2 phenols from, and it is. Oh, you can't see it with the light, but it is.
I'm smoking on some Guava Deep Line Alchemy, Percy 710. I'm smoking on a little bit of the Lemonheads Banana Pie from 710, which is pretty fire. And then I got a nice little fucking slab here of what is it? The 710 Living Soil, the 710 Chem, the melt.
Fire.
Dude, I left it out by mistake, and I was doing some flags, and I left the jar out by mistake and went back, and I fucking took a dab out of it and thought it was rosin.
Oh,
and then when I went to clean the nail, I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" And then I noticed the jar was bigger, which their melt jars are a little bigger than their rosin jars. So I got some of that, and then surprisingly enough, dude, like people might be shocked, but some Skittles. What is this? Skittles and watermelon Skittles from the dudes over at Exclusive Melts.
I love Skittles, and Exclusive kicks ass. Are they from Michigan?
I think they might be, man. And this is BHO actually.
Damn,
good ripping. That's right, boys.
A little BHO.
Little BHO, and then I got some Rosin Baron, of course. Some gelato. Hell yeah.
So my love for
Yeah.
dabbing started, I want to say, like, with hash, like smoking hash out of bongs, because, like, I already was chasing something else, you know? So, like, I was already, you know, trying to smoke tough. So it's for sure started, like, going to a shop called God's Gift on Manchester in Vermont, they would always have some nice water hash there, black, that, brown water hash kind of like this. And that's how my love for getting higher started. And then there used to be a shop in downtown called Downtown Patient Group. And they used to have a dab bar, and they used to have 5 grams for $50. So we would go there to go get the 5 grams for $50 because we wanted some OG to smoke in our Swisher Sweet, because that's what we smoked. We smoked OG out of Swisher Sweets, and anything that was an OG derivative, any Kush, every now and then we'll grab a Jack, a Blue Dream, whatever, if they had other offerings. But all in all, the LA medical scene was OGs. So that's what we smoked. And that's what we went to go pick up. But one day, like we at DTPG, that's the shop we go to, we noticed there's a dab bar and these things called future pipes and these little sugars and all these little sugars. And they would dab you out with the nasty goo at the dab bar, and you'd get higher than you've ever been. Like your first dab. That's what it was. And it was at a time when motherfuckers were not dabbing like that. It wasn't a thing yet. And I'm talking 10 plus. I'm talking when I was like 18 years old. So I'm 29 now, 11 years ago. I'm going, probably 12 years ago. I'm going on 30. So I'm over here indulging in future pipes. They're expensive as fuck. Like I can't afford the $60, $80 grams they were charging at the time, which is still what hash costs, by the way. Like the shit didn't change. It just kind of changed a little bit. So that's what that was. And on 420, on really cool days, like when my buddy had extra scratch and he would want to, buy the crazy shit, that's when I would indulge in the dabs. And it was like a rare thing. It wasn't something you just did. But as I grew more and found out how to make the bitch, oh, it was game over. Like I forgot where I was looking on just some random YouTube video or forum. I don't know what I was on. And it's like they showed me how to make BHO. And I literally ran to the backyard. I grabbed a 60 dram container of those old medical canisters that they used to use, and I filled it up with trim. I put 2 holes on each side, and I didn't even have like real butane, like the kind we use for our torches. I had the butane you use in a stovetop. I ran that shit through it, and I seen the gunk come out the other side, and I said, "Woo! Like we struck gold, motherfucking." One of my friends smoked it. That shit, they smoked it, and they're like, fucking dying and shit. So I like went out my way to like do research and due diligence on like YouTube, Google on how to like make fucking BHO shatter. And this was 10 plus years ago. Like I see Facebook memories of like me like with like the nastiest setup, and it's cool because like I've always wanted to do it, and it's funny because one time I wanted to make hash. This is what I wanted to make, right? The way it looks, this is what I was aiming for. So we went and bought those cheap $40 bags at a hydro store, and we had like this Skywalker auto seed that had randomly came across me, and me and my buddy washed it while watching the YouTube video on how to wash, like really like dumb, but and we got like how hash comes out today. And I thought I did it wrong. Oh, well, like, this shit's light. Like, what the fuck? Well, I think we did it wrong, And I let it dry, and it was some of the best, hash from that time period that I had smoked. But it didn't click that this is what you should be doing. Like, I'm like, the yields were low. It was too much legwork as opposed to just grinding the shit, throwing it in a fucking tube, and blasting it into a tray. And that shit was still, like, the rave. That's what everybody was aiming for. Everyone was trying to smoke, like, the Banff shatter, the fucking the crazy shit, the CES I think is called, the one with the brain on it. There was so much crazy fire shatter in the dispensaries, and that's what I was trying to replicate when I was doing my outdoor shatter runs. But I didn't, genetics has a lot to do with it. I didn't have an OG, I didn't have access, I didn't have money, so I would just grow whatever odd job bag seed whatever fucking dude would give me, So like every now and then I'll get a clone that my cousin or somebody would grab at a random dispensary they went to, but it was access to info. I wasn't on Instagram where dudes were like, buy clones here, or a dude was like, buy clones here. It was just like, all I know is Facebook and my friends and going to Weed Maps and typing in deals and fucking going to places and word of mouth. That's all you knew.
What was your first experience with rosin like?
Rosin, what was my first experience with rosin like? Let me think. I think it was around the flower rosin time when everyone was squishing their buds. I was growing indoor already, and because everyone was growing indoor, so I took a muse from everything on Instagram. I'm like, damn, that fool got Gavitas and he has an indoor, man. That shit looks dope. I'm tired of going outdoor. Let me see what this shit does. So sure enough, I like built an indoor and I squished a bunch of my buds, and that flower rosin was so good. But around that time, I had already picked up like the seed hype, so I kind of just transitioned into the seed world as opposed to growing out flowers. Because trust me, like I did a smart decision.
Do you smoke flower anymore?
Yeah, I smoke flower. I smoke flower, but not like I smoke hash. Like I roll up joints when people give me weed, and I'll keep them around and I'll smoke them. But like, I'm not like I smoke dabs. Like I need my dab. I don't need a joint.
I hear you on
I hate
that.
to sound like a crackhead.
No,
Smoke any BHO?
BHO, I try to not to, but every now and then some people that I like respect will come around and they'll like have BHO and they'll deem it worthy, and I'll indulge, and that's very rare.
I'm the same way. I smoke BHO if it's a strain that's not going to produce in solventless that you don't see.
Yeah, like that's for sure. That's for sure.
Do you want people to think of you as a hash breeder, or do you feel that you're that pigeonholes you, and that's just sort of the Wilson line that should receive that notoriety?
I'm not too big on that. Like when people say like, oh, so like you breed for hash only. And I'm just like, bro, I breed, like I make seeds for everything. Like I cover every time a dude drops a seed, I'm not like, I want to grow everything. I don't not want to grow it. It's just whatever comes, I'm into it. Let's see what it does. And it just so happens when you do everything, hash falls into the category of everything, and land races and land races and flower producing varieties and all these, everything. So if I cover as the most that I can, it just so happens I did a lot of hashy ones, and Wilson is a hashy variety as opposed to like a greasy super lemon haze strain that I worked into everything. So, it helps with the hash for sure, but I also do everything else for sure.
So let me ask you then, have you been able to ever associate anything in early stage veg or late stage veg, early stage flower that would tell you that plant would be good for hash?
Ooh, what tells me a plant is good for hash? I think it's more later into flower, and just like knowing what hash is, like having we take for granted like all this knowledge we go and all these seeds we skim through, but like we know what's going to wash and we know what might not wash. So, so we already have that intuition and that gumption. So we're like, we're good cooks in the kitchen. So that's kind of how I step into producing a hashy variety. But like I said, I cover everything. So when I'm growing capulator strains, I know not to expect the hashy variety. I know to expect a commercially viable flower producing big plant, and his MAC that he introduces into crosses is most likely a terpinolene leaning variety. So like I'm aware of the tools being used and like what those genetics have to bring to the progeny. So it's like I know what is going to happen for the most part, except for the new books that I'm looking through, and it's like, oh shit, like all right, let's see if you hash, and that's what I kind of look for, is all the new shit, like the root beer that Mean Gene is pushing really hard. Like I already got akin to that, or like exotic. He has the Scotty Too Hottie line, nothing too crazy, but like I'm into like looking at books that I haven't read yet. When I say books, I mean strains. So like I'm looking for like anybody's ATF representation. Like what's ATF to, all these breeders, because they all got a different rendition of it, I'd imagine, so I'll compare those notes and say like 5 breeders all made ATF crosses, and 3 of them kind of link up. That'll be the real one, the one that's more common, and that's kind of me doing my own legwork, because not that no one, but like is new to me, and no one's kind of doing that, and that's kind of what I do, you know. So I'm not holding my bearings down. Like right now, I grew AK Bean Brains Romulan, so now I'm like gonna go try to get Romulan genetics, Romulan, and see how it compares to his, and maybe kind of reach out and put the bat signal out for more Romulan varieties. Or I grew Michael Hinden, rest in peace. He had an Acapulco Gold from Mountain Organics that, you know, I got in the worst way, and I grew it, and it was a very sativa-esque, terpenoline, fucking Jackie smelling plant. And then I got some Acapulco Gold hybrids from my homie Mark, I think it is, and they were nothing like that. So I'm just like, you know,
Which is which, yeah.
yeah, I'm just like, what, like let's just find more shit and grow it. So that's kind of where I'm at, you know.
Well, it's like using your intuition to be able to essentially, you know, have your hands in these different things and be able to work on this stuff. I think a lot of other people haven't really built their life around doing what you do. You know, a lot of guys are up the hill. You're down in the city. So it's really different, you know, and kind of how you were able to create, you know, or the machine that sort of created, you know, because environments are really responsible a lot of the time for what things that, you know, come out of them. And it's like the city environment, all of these different things, you know, that work ethic and drive, and then now putting all that together and getting to kind of see all of it and what it creates and what you're there. It's almost like a studio that is creating other things based off of culture, based off of what you're seeing, because it's such a perfect mix. Like when I see a video online of you and you're talking about whatever it is that you're promoting, it's always unique. It's always kind of your own thing, and you can tell that it comes from what you're doing. But it's done in a good way too, and it's almost like, did you go to college for any of that stuff? Was there any point of this when you did go and like learn how to market and do anything else, or was this all just kind of like natural for yourself?
So I actually did go to Compton Community College for a little bit, and I did go to a class for public speaking. But this was like, you know, I didn't know it was gonna come in handy, and you know, and you know, like, you know, freaking, I like school. Like I read my little comics, and I know how to be a smartass when I need to be a smartass.
Yeah, your kids seem pretty smart too. That's, you know, it kind of passes through, which is good.
Yeah, they're you know, they're chilling, man. They're little Ellie's gonna be 2 in a couple of days, and she knows the alphabet already. It's kind of scary. Yeah, it's really scary. Cool. Scary, yeah.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Miss. You talked about your first time washing hash with that auto back in the day. Are you drawn to the art of hash making, or do you find yourself more pulled to the cultivation side of things?
I like to grow it. I respect the hash makers and everything, but I don't like to bug people or inconvenience anyone or ask for shit, let alone. So I've never been like invited to go to see a full hash process, you know? So like no one's ever been like, hey Ed, like want to come with me and just like watch me spin the paddle, to say the least, you know? Because I've done everything else. Like I've prepped the plant and put it in the freezer for my, you know, my friend Mike, he's Matt Presser, or my friend Jaden, he's Gelt, and they're like my neighbors in the city, not Compton, but like they're in Huntington Beach or Manhattan Beach, and they just drive on over to Compton, pick up the material, go wash it at home, bring it back 3 days later. And that's like how I'll do my little personal harvest. But I've never asked either. Lord knows they'll say, fuck yeah, come on over. Like, you want to fucking get dressed up and do this with me? Like, I'm into it, you know? We're just going to throw it on the fucking tray, put it in the freezer. Like, this is what I'd imagine it is, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, so, like, nah, I've yet to do, and Lord knows there's nuances and like, you know, some people for sure make it better than others. And, you know, there's the little spray shit. I see it. I visually see it. And I have like my concept in my brain of what's happening over there. And I've done it before. Yeah. And I did it, you know, I've seen videos a bunch of times, and every fucking time I'm on Instagram, some motherfucker's doing one of the processes. And I'll walk into some washroom sometimes and I'll see it. But I do not see myself trying to do what they do. Because when I do something, oh no, like I gotta fucking, you know, do it. You know, I can't just do it. Nah, I gotta do that shit, and I gotta rep it, and I gotta hone it, and I'm gonna bleed and live this shit. And I do that with smoking and growing, and my family, and I keep it small. I got a couple hobbies.
Yep.
Three things.
Well, when you come up to the melting of the heads, there'll be some of that going on, so you'll be able to step in and just get your paddle on and do your thing.
There'll be some chance for you to watch some dudes who know what they're doing for sure, and I'm sure.
Or run the paddle, dog. You can get in there and muster in the paddle, get your moves on.
100%.
And the Balenciaga boots, fucking.
You know he's gonna have those motherfuckers on for sure.
So we're seeing like a big rise in hash breeders, or seed producers, producing seed with the target of solventless extraction. Maybe is better term. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on the plant's ability to produce resin. Do you feel as though we've more or less seen that ability maxed out with a GMO, or do you feel like there's a lot of room for this plant to do some incredible stuff?
I wouldn't say it plateaued, but I would like a little percentage here and there, who knows, I see the people's like their smoking, rituals evolving, so that kind of plays into, them wanting to make solventless strains. So, that, the shit's getting better. If someone shows you a jar of hash rosin and you are capped out at smoking big backwoods, trying to get as high as you can, and someone gives you a nice dab of solventless, I've fucking got a lot of people over to the dark side where they're like, oh man, like fucking you changed my life. And I've done that with too many people. And I just think with the access to great solventless, good solventless, we'll have a reason to make more, solventless producing strains. And that's kind of why that happened, people were smoking it.
So are you very bullish on the rise and growth of concentrate consumption in the form of dabbing over the next 5 to 10 years? Like, do you think that that's something that's going to really blow up, or do you think it's going to remain more niche?
I think I don't know, I don't know how America makes people drink beer, but there's got to be some type of that thing going on,
People like that shit. There's certain things that drive,
but it's like a propaganda of some sort, like, because eventually they'll have their money in it or whatever. So it's all like, hey guys, like look at this respected American figure, like smoking hash. I don't know how they'll make it look nice, but like that's probably the only way they're gonna grab like the Walmart people.
The glass makes it look nice, dude. That's why those two industries, the glass industry and the hash production industry, they ride together so heavily. Yeah. Because the glass is what makes it look nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't look great smoking out of a fucking piece of shit China rig. Don't get me. Hey, look, man, we all start somewhere. Shout out to Justin Benson for buying me my first rig. It was a Mobius Matrix. But you got to start somewhere. That's the point. It's like you got to start dabbing somewhere, and it's the glass that makes it that beautiful thing, honestly, because fucking heating something with a torch and then, presenting that to someone, and shout out to Roger from Puffco for creating the fucking Puffco or the Peak, because that's a great, lowers the barrier of entry.
That
to try
you hit it right on the head. Cartas, Puffcos,
Carta tubes, yep.
They're gonna like really educate people on hash rosin. Like it's an easy, tool. It's like user friendly to say the least. It's like a fucking iPhone for dabbing. It's literally what it is.
From a business standpoint for California, if you look at the market, the flower price, the dried flower price has fluctuated multiple times, and it continues to over the years, where you just said it yourself. Back in the day, a gram of hash was $60. It still fucking is. And the inputs for that material, for solventless or BHO, the price on those haven't changed either. So when a business investor or somebody looking at our entire industry sits there and invests in a company, they see that and they're like, ooh, this is where the growth, and they see the growth and they look at the market, and that's where their investment goes. And that's honestly, how markets get blown out and opened up. The flower market's blown the fuck out because, what really markets, it has to be great product now. and it really has to, you know, be a certain thing. But in the rec market, people don't understand that in the rec market, you could breed the illest shit ever, but it's going to cap out in price because you want it to sell. So, you know, the rec market, realistically, it's like 2,200 a fucking unit, capped technically, you know, and then that gets bagged up into 100 and whatever fucking eights, and then that's so, you know. But in the hash market, it's different. There's so much room to grow, and that's why I think there's a major up that's been happening and is going to continue to happen. And the glass blowers are continuing. I mean, now we're well up above $100,000 on a piece. You know, shit's really like pushing itself. You know, there's 25 different fucking ways to nails that you can connect to your fucking rig, with 6 different types of balls you can throw into it, and a fucking pillar, and a cat with a marble, and a, you know, I mean, dude, you need a suitcase now just to go dab to bring all your shit. It's crazy.
You need a roll of toilet paper. You need Q-tips, a dab right, 3 little widgets. You know.
But honestly, in order to do any of that, you need genetics that are fucking going to produce at least 4%, you know, from wet material to hash. And that's just kind of, you know, what you need. And that's like, you know, bringing it back to what you do and breeding. Do you think that when it comes to the new line, the non-Wilson line, is what are you seeing in there? Are you seeing a split of hash and then flower production stuff? Like, what's kind of what you see?
So as far as the terps are concerned, like this dark rainbow, I haven't like heard like explosive numbers on it, even if it's a GMO hybrid, and even like growing the mom out itself, it wasn't like a sandy variety. It was a nice plant. It was dope, and some of them encapsulated the rainbow belts really well, and some of them were a nice creamy mix of them. But all in all, like, that's just a strain. I'm putting it out there on the strength of it being dark rainbow and people wanting that. That's, you know, if it hashes, good for you guys. If it doesn't, I didn't say it did. So that's the dark rainbow. And fucking, you know, what's rainbow belts hitting? Like not that much to my knowledge. So, you know, there's that. Even what's GMO hitting? A lot. What is a GMO rainbow belt hitting? We haven't got too many crazy numbers off that. To my knowledge, I haven't got like hearsay data about that yet. So
and what's the male, what's the female on that?
So the potential males on here, it's an open pollination, it's a no Wilson line, are dark rainbow, root beer, pure face off tie, violet flame under fire, rainbow chip froyo, and there's like a couple other ones that I got to look at, but those are like the potential males. But all in all, like that's just kind of to, like, you know, just kind of switch it up, and it's a breath of fresh air. I'm revisiting, you know, just making seeds, man. I'm just fucking pushing out product, and I did this intentionally. I didn't want to wrap my head around someone else's hard work, you know, like I'm just gonna fucking run with dark rainbow. Fuck it, we're doing a dark rainbow line like that. That's corny to me. I don't like that. And no offense to anybody that goes and, you know, grabs someone's strain and uses it to make a whole new line and bank on it and run with it to the bank. You know, so I kind of just did something different where I did an open pollination with these various males, and I'm just doing things that are different. I'm going against the grain. I've done this before, by the way. It's just something different.
Yeah. And like you said before, something positive came out of it. You liked what you saw. So why not use that same method to then maybe add to that and do something different? Which is, I think a lot of guys in cannabis, man, they just get really high. They don't remember what they did last time. And then they can't get, you know, great results because they're not reproducible. Where, you know, you seem like you have some notepads laying around where you write some shit down, which is good.
I have a nice, you know, I have a lot of notes, and I'm very I got an encyclopedia. I remember all the shit that I do. There's nothing gets past me. I have a memory of a fucking elephant, so that helps a lot too.
You do. Just watching you recollect like certain strains that were in places and crosses, and I was even thinking to myself while we were talking, I'm like, man, I have a shit memory because I can't even fucking remember shit. But no, that's dope.
Mace, you mentioned that you were looking through, you grew out one of the Romulan cuts and then you wanted to look through a few more. Have you done that same thing with the skunks that are moving around right now, or have you not looked into that?
The only skunk that I've grown right now is Todd McCormick's skunk, the skunk number one. And I popped the whole pack of it, and that's my only representation of skunk that I've got to this date. I hear about these other breeders and all this lore and all this, oh, you don't have it or it's not real, but I honestly don't care or even want to know about the drama. I don't ask. I'm just like, whatever. I got Todd P's McCormick. That's the skunk that I got, which is also in the No Wilson line. I got a few skunk number one open pollen crosses as an offering in the No Wilson line. So like that's something I'm stoked on because it's like a derivative of skunk and you never fucking know what you're gonna get. It's Pandora's box, and that's what that is. So fucking as far as skunk is concerned, nah, I've only grown Todd P. McCormick's skunk number one. I think I was one of the first people to tap in on them, let alone grow them out.
Can you share anything about that experience with Todd's stuff?
Oh hell yeah! So I grew Todd's skunk number one. I grew his Super Lemon Haze Jack Hare. I grew his Green Crack Owen Haze. I grew his GDP Original Haze. I grew his Original Haze, and his OG Kush Owen Haze. Okay. And everything was true to its lineage. So like the Super Lemon Haze was Super Lemon. The Green Crack was Green Crack. The OG was, damn, that's some OG. The fucking haze, like, damn, that's a fucking hazy ass plant. So the skunk number one, I know everyone's like, not that I know everyone, but like I've heard like, hey, that's not even skunky. Well, he explains that in the fucking in his podcast he did with Dark Horse. If anyone wants to go hear from the horse why that doesn't smell skunky, because that's the name of it. Like it's skunk number one, like the way. Like, yeah, maybe it did come off as skunky, like far away as you're walking towards the skunk number one grow. But like all in all, that skunk number one plant had more of a floral funk to it. My phenos that I found in it, a lot of floral.
Well, there's roadkill skunk.
Yeah.
If you're looking for roadkill skunk smell, like,
yes, that's not what that. No, this is a sweet floral, nice.
And skunk one was like that too. When you got packs of it from Scentsy. It would be, because I'd get couple packs every year, and I'd do like a nice spot in my backyard, and literally I'd go to the same fucking spot, see the same dude buy the same fucking packs, and I'd run it, and it would be different every single year.
Yep.
But it'd be fire, it'd be something, a little different, and I was just like, all right, well maybe skunk number one to them is like, good fucking weed, like I don't know. Like,
to me, it's all like weed smells skunky, like no matter what, like you could have Blue Dream Tangy. Anything, and if you're like you have it in your fanny pack or whatever and you're in a store and somebody walks in, they're not gonna be like, damn, that's like oranges. For the most part, sometimes maybe, but like most weed,
there's a skunk in here, like,
yeah, like that's skunky, and that's kind of how I feel that kind of got that name or whatever, and it goes with a lot of things like
it would
Skittles,
always be fire.
like Skittles, for instance, like I eat Skittles, the candy, and when you eat Skittles, like they're coated, like you're not necessarily getting big whiffs of terps off the Skittles, and if you are, I've yet to get like a bowl of Skittles and be like, damn, like that's just like the strain. So that's kind of what's happening with that, I like to think.
Well, sometimes the name is a cool name too,
That too.
I think that's a really good comparison. I want to ask you about your thoughts on fresh press versus cured rosin. In your opinion, do you feel one consistently best represents the profile of the plant over the other? Like,
yeah, I don't smoke. Like, I don't willingly smoke fresh press. Like, I'm stoked when my fresh press finally nucleizes. I'm like, yes, like I get to taste it now, So
yeah, half and half.
Sometimes it's like, oh, that's neat and that's different, but 99% of the time it's like, nah, where's the finished product at?
Yeah, every time I hit fresh press, I feel like I have COVID and I can't taste anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about like dead versus live material? Like, have you ever encountered something that you prefer the cured material processed into rosin versus live material?
I'm like, as far as I'm very like, that's not my forte. I just kind of, whenever I do hash rosin, I grab a live plant and I buck it down and I throw it in the freezer, and that's the only way I've had it. Every now and then I've had homies that dry the plant and they'll be like, oh, here's some dry hash rosin,
Yeah.
and I'll just be like, I'll put that to the side because I'm used to the whole plant fresh frozen already.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you go rosin versus melt? Like, do you enjoy both, or do you like one over the other?
I love melt. So good melt, great melt. Like I'd rather smoke that all day. It's just access to melt and how much it costs. So that's kind of why I don't do it. I get it how you live. I'm not a guy that lives amongst my means. I'm not gonna go hit up my favorite hash dude and be like, I need the best shit you got. Like I'm very realistic and I know what I can afford, and I'm not on a hash melt diet. You know what I mean? And I would love to smoke
Expensive.
Skittles melt all day, the best Skittles melt, fucking dude. But nah, I'm more of like GMO and whatever's around type of guy.
Being a KNF guy, have you noticed that you're able to discern differences between salt grown resin and organically grown resin?
Oh, a little bit, yeah. So soil grown, and especially with hash, like I can be like, and with flour, like I'll smoke it or I'll even look at it, and I could be like, that was grown with, salts, or that was grown with love. So I can, not that the salts aren't grown with love, but I'm more fond of smoking soil grown weed.
Do you have any particular feeling about like the rising popularity of resin blending or like mixing, where guys who are most of the cup winners we've seen lately have been mixes of 2 or 3 different rosins? Is that like, does that make you feel any type of way?
I'm into it, man. I'm not into it. If someone's like, you shouldn't do that, well, that's just waving your fist at the moon at that point. So I'm fucking, if that shit's good and I like it and it got mixed, like that doesn't matter. Like how's that like? So that's cool. If they're making it better and cooler, if they're finding a way to. Now, if they're like mixing the bad with the good, well, that's just like, that's going to be their problem, not my problem.
Yeah. What the same question I asked as far as organic and salts, do you feel that there's a major difference on sun-grown versus indoor resin? Like, are you able to tell when resin is sun-grown more likely than not?
Yeah, hell yeah. Because I smoke a lot of sun-grown, and to me it like oxidizes differently as opposed to indoor. Like I can like kind of tell, just smoking tons of sun-grown hash. Like I just know, like that's what I'm used to. It's like it's what I'm used to. So every now and then I'll get a homie who'll bring me like this really, really clean hash, and I'll be like, oh, that's indoor. And not that the outdoor isn't clean, it's just more sterile. And that's that. You're on mute, Eddie.
I think what it is it's a weathered input. If something's outside, then it's technically weathered.
Yeah.
If you take a weathered input, which would be the fresh frozen from that, and bring it inside, and no offense, because there's profiles, there's all kinds of stuff that come from soil grown, outdoor, beautiful, full outdoor, plants that are gorgeous on a small scale. There's some fucking beautiful hash that comes from it. But I have the same opinion. Like when you taste it, you can tell that there's something about like an oxidized terpene or something that's in it from it being so exposed to the elements for as long as it was in production. But
yeah,
yep.
And that's my experience with like a GMO that I'll have tons of, and I just kind of bought like a QP of it, and I'll just keep digging at it, and I'll get tired of it, and I'll have like 3 grams left in a huge jar, and I'll kind of firsthand see what's happening to it, and it just kind of changes up a little different. And then some of the indoor, I personally have noticed that some of this indoor is really good. This indoor hash rosin, especially soil grown, it's just these motherfuckers want an arm and a leg for it, motherfuckers. So I'm good. I mean, give me the GMO grown outside, motherfucker. What you thinking about?
Oh man, that's awesome. I want to ask you, like the California industry especially, but Colorado, Canada, North America in general, is the cannabis market is going through very much a rough spot right now. How do you see the industry moving forward over the next 3 years? Are you optimistic, or do you feel as though it's we haven't even seen the worst of it?
So I'm in a whole different lane, and I've never like correlated a pack price or anything like that. Like I feel what I'm doing is completely different from everyone else. So I'm highly optimistic of what I am doing with my vision, and it's just genetics and pushing forward the terp and kind of just making it make sense, and making sure everybody leaves happy. And the problem with weed is I've noticed is making sure, yeah, the farmer has to be happy, but a lot of these guys want Nobu happy, and there's gonna have to be a meeting in the middle with a lot of the influx of corporations and shit like that,
Yeah, 100%. I think that's well put. In your mind, then, just building on that, like, what role does traditional legacy business play in the like big businesses industry's future? Like, do you feel craft breeders and tastemakers such as yourself like are able to coexist with these big corporations without losing what makes you special, or do you feel that that's a fool's errand?
I hate to say it, but like I don't want to be on Instagram telling people to tap in. If I could like have someone like respect the vision and the ethics and the morals and the values of Masonic seeds, and like buy me out or whatever like people see and expect the worst from, I'm for it. Like I don't want to fucking be nickel and dime, and like we're doing something big, and if we build that ourselves and make our own machine that's a industrious machine, like cool. But all in all, I'm just doing what feels natural, and I've yet to meet that person or end up in that deal. I've met people, but it's yet to execute and where it makes sense for both parties. Like right now I'm the sole, like I do share this store with a business partner, Doc, but as far as seeds are concerned and my vision and everything like that, like I am the sole owner and proprietor and everything. So I'm doing what feels right to me. And I've never, it's even like if I do end up like acquired or an acquisition happens, I would do it, and best believe I'm gonna be happy that I did it. How everybody else feels, yeah,
100%.
Yes.
What's one lesson that you wish you would have learned earlier in building, what you've got, where you're at so far?
So I'm glad I did everything I did. I wouldn't change nothing, like whatever happened for a reason. So I'm glad like I went through the dark patches and the good patches. So like, but who knows, like, like, hey, don't be such a drunk ass, or like, take it easy on the shit talking. But like everything happened for a reason, and there must have been a half truth and a reason for everything. So so be it. And those are like the only two things as far as everything is concerned. Like I was working as hard as I could and using the most resources I could when I had them, and making sure I played my cards right as I went along, for sure. Everyone that I told fuck you, it's still fuck them. I never like, oh man, like I should have never fucked them off. Now, like fuck them. They deserve it.
Yep.
And that's how it is.
Straight up. If you had to pick one of your achievements in the last 5 years as your proudest, what would it be?
So I got my family, my lovely family. I got little Ed and Ellie. My seed company. I'm very proud of that. My store.
Yeah.
Um,
Was getting that store like a big, like a vision, or did it happen quite quickly and it was like, oh my God, I've got this store now and this is incredible?
I've always wanted my own hobby shop because I've always been a trading card dude. I've always wanted a store. Like, hey man, but like this kind of is like the trading cards are just CPECs, and it turned into kind of a hobby lobby too. So I've always wanted that as a person. And when the vision happened with Doc, the guy I work with, he's like he would call me, and like I'm used to the slow pace, like I won't pick up the phone, but like he kind of taught me to like, if you don't pick up the phone, we're not doing this. And I learned that very quick because it teaches you to be serious about shit that you really need and want to do. So that's what I kind of picked up from the rollout on this, you know. And
That's what.
yeah, before that it was like, I'm getting stoned, man. I don't want to wake up. Like, it was some dumb shit, you know. I thought I won the game already, but I'm glad I bumped into somebody that's serious about business and made me more serious about, you know, phone calls and doing stuff in a team effort, you know. So it was fast because of somebody like him. And it took a while. Like, I had the store in September, October, November, December, January, February, March. We didn't open till April. So it took a long time to actually get the build out and the acquisition of the store, and, you know, like, we just throw money at it till we were able to actually open it up. It took 8 months to open up the store.
That's pressure.
That's crazy. It is tough. But you know what, too? I think that when you have a family and you're in these kind of situations, it's huge motivation for you to, because you got so much you're juggling and they're so important to you. Does your wife support what you do, like at the shop and in all your other business? It sounds like you have a great relationship with that.
Yeah, she's actually the real Masonic smoker. She's the actually, you know, she's funny and all that stuff. So, like, she's very supportive, and she, like, don't get me wrong, just, it's not like fucking Disney World, La La Land. It's just like everybody else's couple. We got our struggles, but like, all in all, we've been together for over 12 years, you know. We've been together. We're high school sweethearts, so we got each other's backs, and we trust each other, and we know each other. We got the keys to each other's, you know, lives, and there's no weird shit going on. It's just, it is what it is. And she's like, I'm this polarizing dude, and shit happens, and she's very in tune with everything, you know. Like, she's very supportive, and she knows what's up, you know.
That's cool.
Other than Oni Noodles and you know, your father, were there any other people who've been really influential on your journey? Your wife as well. You know, were there any other people other than those?
So, like, Oni Noodles, Harry Palms helped me a lot with my breeding endeavors and giving me the like hope and, like, you know, the cosign, let alone to go breed. And you know, we got my wife, and, you know, Capulator, I take a lot of muse from. He's a cool guy, and just the way he, like, on a physical street level, being at the event, seeing him gather up the crowds and what a seed rollout could be, you know, I take a lot of muse from him, and just how he gets down. Like, he's Cap, you know, like,
Cap's got flavor, bro.
And freaking, you know, the exotic mics, and as time rolls by, I take muse from other people for sure.
You do a lot of trading on IG, which I think is really cool. And I know that people would be interested to know, like, what are your, like, top 3 trades ever?
Barter.
So I have a Dark Star Charizard, which is like a $7,000 Pokemon card. I have a nice Mothership I got one time, and then I got, like, this other Bluegrass Robertson that I got as well. And I got a bunch of other shit too, like a bunch of other pipes. But, like, those are some heady trades, fam. You know?
Those are dope trades.
Do you have other than that, like, Robertson, are you into the glass culture? Like, do you have some favorite glass artists?
I am like, I like when I smoke my Siren. I like when I smoke my Dream Labs. I like when I smoke my Mothership. Like, I like when I smoke my Solani. So, like, I like it because I have it. I'm not, like, you know, I never really like, oh, I see dudes that like one artist and they, like, really go out their way to get as many things from that artist. I've yet to do that or want to do that. I'm very, like I said, I get it how I live. Like, I'm not every now and then, like, I went and bought a $600 Mothership little pipe at the Legends thing because that made sense to me. It wasn't too much. It was a good investment. It was a Mothership. And sure enough, I go home, I turn around, somebody's like, hey, bro, that's like $1,500 now. Just off the rip. Just because you bought that 600 thing, now it's $1,500. I'm like, dope. That's cool. You know, and people could afford $1,500 quicker than, something
6,000.
else. Exactly.
12,000.
And same thing with the 600. Like I could afford the 600 as opposed to the 6,000, the 5,000.
But surprisingly enough, if you spend 50 something hundred on some pieces, they flip quickly at like 9K and up, depending on what they are. It just depends, man. It's like
it's a whole like, and then that goes into now I'm Masonic glass trader. You know what I mean? So I try to like.
Well,
that's a good one to be. It's not a bad one to be.
Not a bad thing. Man.
I'm not ready for that. You know what I mean?
That's the next level, bro.
Man, I'm gonna be fucking Pelly fucking traveling all
Triple
over the
Pellies.
Jesus Christ. But I do love glass, and I respect glass, and I like to smoke out of nice glass, especially smoking out of shitty glass during the whole shatter days. Like I was the worst, but now I'm like, I got some class.
See, that's nice. You've evolved. That's a good thing.
Sure enough.
Hell yeah.
It's definitely it's an evolution for sure. But I think
the slurpers.
Yeah.
I see you now. You're pretty deep and dirty on the slurpers.
I get in there.
There's no joke. I see you. What are you running on your slurpers? Do you run like a full size with pillars?
I like to smoke the XL at my house. So like at my house, I have one XL, but for whatever reason, every time some dude sells me some, he only has minis. So I have two minis. I have a mini here and I have a mini at my farm. So every place that I am at, there has to be a slurper there. Like I'm not getting high off of a regular bucket. It's not fucking happening. If I'm traveling to somewhere for at least 2-3 days, there's at least a makeshift slurper coming with me. Like not one of my original Toros, like something else, But all in all, like I love to smoke me out some slurpers. So
they'll light you up, man. They will light you up. They'll fucking that's like bringing your lungs to the gym. It's fucking with the slurper.
I'm into it. We're sprinting.
I think you're gonna be happy with the judges pack at Melting of the Heads. It comes with a pretty nice gift from Evan Shore, so we're pretty excited about that.
That's gonna be a great time.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a lot of fun. When I heard that you were heading up there, I was kind of stoked because
I'll
be up there. It'll be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that whole weekend. It'll be a good time. So
I'm into it. I appreciate you guys having me as well. Just so you guys.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh man, it's gonna be a blast. So, on your interview with First Smoke of the Day, you not only mentioned the 4 agreements, but you also mentioned Gladwell's Outliers. Those aren't, those are heavier books. Like, are you an avid reader, or those just happen to be 2 books that you've read?
I am a collector of books. I just buy books and sometimes I read them. There used to be this Amazon bookstore at the mall for a couple of years, and I would just go in there and just fill up the bag. I go to Barnes and Nobles and fill up the bag, and I skim. If I don't like it, I don't read it. Mm-hmm. If I like it, I'll read it. I'm not gonna fucking force myself to front to back some shit I don't fucking want to read. But the 4 agreements and the Outliers, those kind of vibe with me. So they happen to be 2 of the books that I read. I was an AP Lit person, so like my teacher would make us read all these fucking literature books, and I've read a lot of books. I read a lot of comic books. I like every Wednesday I get a stack like that.
What are your favorite comics?
I like first one that comes to my head, like I like Why the Last Man. I like Sweet Tooth. I like Scalped, Preacher, 100 Bullets. I like some of the DC Marvel stuff like Civil War. Final Crisis was cool. Some of the stuff like that. I read it all.
Like top 3 or top 5 books that have had the most impact on you that if you were to tell somebody to read?
Oh man, it ain't much, man. Like I just like those 2 books. Those are like books that help with like actually being a good person. Everything else is more like escaping into La La Land more than anything.
Sure. Fiction. What are the top 3 most impressive extracts that you've had that have come across your desk in like the last 6 months?
I really like this pink papaya from him. This is not my first time smoking this. Mm-hmm. Some dude had it and I was like, oh, like, fuck, you got it again. Give it to me. It's like a candy papaya. I'm a big fan of Skittles in every shape or form, you know, like Brandon, third gen, just had some unbelievable Skittles that I just smoked on.
Mhm.
And what's number 3? Let's think of number 3.
Gotta be OG, bro. What are you talking about?
Not yet. I haven't had enough OG, man. These guys ain't sharing. Mad Presser, my buddy Mad Presser, he just brought over some strawberry runts papaya. That was killer as fuck.
That sounds good.
What were your thoughts on Legends?
Legends was dope. I'm a fan of hash. It's like I know everybody there, so it's like fucking you get to meet everybody at one place at one spot in one confined space. You don't gotta fucking go everywhere, and you know it's everybody's there. Not that we're mingling, but like you get to like see and kind of get a vibe, and it's dope. I'm into it, you know, like smoking hash with all the homies. Fucking forget about it. Kidding me?
That's awesome, man. What's coming up next? Like, what are you excited about that you have dropping in the near future?
So there's a couple things that are in the works right now. I'm doing some I'll call it a preservation project for Canistez right now, where he gave me a lot of his original seed stock, and I'm actually growing it right now. So that's happening. What else?
Yeah, we're working together on that project, which is
Yeah, Addison put it together. I'm like
Okay.
yeah.
Addison made that happen, guys. So you know when you guys see GDP hybrids or true GDP crosses in the future, you guys can thank Addy for fucking putting that motherfucker together for sure.
That was an 800-pound mantra project.
Man,
Man.
and they're in good hands.
Cool.
Everything is about this big, and it's going.
Well, it's cool. Like remember when we, not to talk too much about it, but like when we even sat down and talked about that, we all have projects and stuff that we're doing, and we want the business that we're doing to feed those projects. So a lot of this stuff we wanted to be able to be like, all right, we want to contribute. How do we contribute? Oh, we know Ken, and and bring him in because we want Pipeline to have more genetics that are from great breeders that are doing stuff for hash, and that's kind of it feeds everybody's projects, what everyone's doing, in such a fucking fun ass way, and that's kind of what the energy behind that whole entire project was, because we've 800 has worked with Ken for forever, and known him for so long, and was just like, okay, here's a way to like let Ken sort of in so many ways like preserve all of his genetics and kind of push them into the next sort of generation in the right way into what's happening in cannabis. And we talked about it, and I think this is probably one of the smartest ways to do it. So yeah, we're stoked to be a part of it. But it feeds everyone. It's a great fucking idea, and it's just fun, man. That's what's cool about it too. So
yeah, I feel and that's it's kind of, I feel good that they're even willing to trust me and put that ball in my hand, because I do feel I'm the right guy for it. So it's like, thanks.
No,
I appreciate that.
We felt the same way, man. I felt like it was, trying to put, the idea, the things that Ken wanted to accomplish were to be able to, take his genetics and pass them on in a way where they were going to be a part of what's going on moving forward. And so when we sat and talked about it, Kevin and I, it was like, well, fuck, you know what? Like Mace is doing like futuristic 2030 shit. Let's just fucking go to Mace. And then that's when, you and I had already been talking and stuff, and me and Kevin came to that time. So it just kind of made perfect sense. But it's like, you are sort of someone who is respectful in that way. So that was something too, to me, that was like, all right, Mace is going to have a lot of respect for Ken. And when you guys met, it's like you guys clicked, and everything worked out exactly the way it should, because I think it was just like everybody was perfect for it. So
no doubt. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing all these grow and grow more. So that's
I gotta
in the middle.
I gotta bring you your Masonic hat that I had on earlier that I got for you.
I need that for sure.
I'll bring it through. I'll bring it to the shop. Let me know when you're back in there. So
yeah.
Definitely.
As someone who's been on the forefront of a lot of shit, what are your thoughts on Web 3.0, Mace?
Man, You're gonna have to elaborate Web 3.0 for me, my
I'm
dude.
still learning about it as well, but like, is clearly, is that something that you're playing with as far as like, I mean, I'm still learning about it. Are you buying land? Are you looking at NFTs? Are you,
I'm making seeds and seed accessories. If I feel some type of chemistry and something feels right with some type of, you know, NFT cyber space type of, you know, deal and people, I'm totally into it. But all in all, I'm pretty in tune with like the internet, and I've yet to see something that feels right to me implementing the seed culture with the NFT world. It would really have to be incentivized, trace and track, like real deal, really properly produced and rolled out deal for me to even entertain it. Besides that, like I don't want like a half-ass NFT where they're literally just buying a JPEG and some incentive. Like I could do that without the fucking JPEG, you know what I mean? So that's kind of my thing. It's like you're just selling them something that you could have did with a picture. But if there's like like you bought these seeds and you know when you sell it to somebody, like you can see how, but like no, I haven't seen no one do that with seeds and bring that out, you know, like hey man, we got the proper packaging and all the NFCs for this, you know, or whatever. Like no one's done that for me yet, and that, hell yeah, that's where it's headed, you know, like why not? But no one has it packaged and ready to roll out, I think.
Well, there's some things we should talk about.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm into it. And that's what would need to happen with that digital rollout with the seed culture implemented. It would have to be like, you know, okay, I got my seeds that I bought via NFT or whatever, and it came with a JPEG, and I just say
No, I mean,
JPEG. It comes with art.
You buy everything with coin. So so what Web3 is technically is taking the internet and the ability to purchase things on the internet, but making it so that the way you purchase those things is by using digital coin.
That part.
Having a wallet for digital coin.
So that's another thing. It's like it's like using other money. That's the real reason behind it. But the using that money, but that has nothing to do with pushing genetics. So that's my whole thing.
Well, no, it does though, because this is the way it connects. Real brief, like quickly. The fact that you can connect an NFT to the seed drop, that when they purchase that NFT, when they purchase that pack of seeds, that NFT allows them access into all the other stuff that you've created, your Discord, your other things, where they can get leveled up through bots that you put into your Discord to manage it. It really allows you to manage a community. What I'm telling you this, and I learned this from you. Like that's what's funny. I learned this from your Discord stuff.
I use it very remedially. You know what I mean? And it isn't like this. Like my perfect world NFT cyberspace rollout would be, okay, the reason we use NFTs is to destabilize the fucking dollar or whatever, like to have our own dollar, an actual dollar that we could deal with. So that's the whole scope from what I learned. You know, why people even use Bitcoin and NFTs and all these things. So that's that.
It allows it to remain private. That's the other thing.
That. So like to not have to use the fucking money that the government has. So that's that part. So you got that, but
privacy.
People are so used to they're not rebels. They're just gonna use their debit card, credit card, check out at Amazon. Like we're building a rebellion, to say the least, with the NFTs. And I'm not here to educate people on this NFT rebellion, you know.
But you can have a wallet, like a MetaMask wallet or have a Coinbase wallet that then has a card.
I'm not against it.
You can use the Visa card number and fucking buy whatever you want using your coin.
I'm not against it. It's just it's not that easy and convenient for me. Like no one's ever like just like, hey man, here it is, and here's how you want it.
Me and we're gonna sit down.
Yeah. And how I want it is like there really has to be like it has to be the real deal. And that's why I've never done even the Can of Verify fucking stickers. Like you know, trust the breeder, and when you buy a seed from me that it's the real thing and that's what you're buying. But we're gonna turn it into okay, so you know, now we really gotta find a reason.
An NFT allows them to, whoever buys that and then goes and grows it, it allows them a place to then come back and put data in about what they purchased and all these different things, and it builds
that's what I want.
Data rich community. That's
what I want. That's what I want from it, you know. Yep. And yeah, that's probably, you know, I just need someone to have that tool for me and just on the rollout, you know. And I think that'll be dope.
It's here now. Yeah, no, that's what's crazy is because you also have to have a coin that's stable, that's connected to it. So there's a bunch of different things that have to kind of be in place. Everyone's talking metaverse, and it's like metaverse is a bit down the road because, you know, who the fuck has time to sit there with a headset on all day and live in another world right now? Like, it's tough enough in this world, so it's, you know, haven't jumped over yet to the other one, but even in the development of stuff, it seems that way too. But the real stuff that's happening right now is, you know, finding, you know, your space in that, or just getting an understanding of how Web3 works.
My thing is I'm willing to diversify my bonds, you know, like that's just another thing, and I'm not against it. It's just a matter of doing it with the right people, and I've yet to meet anyone that's like, hey, bro, like it's ready to rock. Like all I need is your seeds. All I need is your seeds, fam. It's plug and play. Like that's literally like who I need, you know. Like and
well, what's crazy about it is they don't even need seeds. It's like it's just a, you know, it's an interesting way of being able to keep in touch with the people that purchase your products.
And it's a whole demographic too. Like these are computer savvy dudes that are a little bit more connected, to say the least, as opposed to like, hey man, I want to buy some seeds, you know.
Or they're entry level people that understand and have an understanding that the future is going to be this way.
Yeah.
So they're interested in being like, all right, I got it. Like me, I fucking believe me, dude. I was like, a what? What are you talking about? In a short period of time, was thrown into like a huge education, and then was like, oh fuck, had an opportunity to partner up with this group of developers that were putting all this stuff together, and then got huge education from these guys and just being involved in, you know, what I needed to have in place in order to interface with it, which is like, yeah, you have to have a MetaMask wallet, you then have to have a Coinbase wallet, you got to have different things and know how to you know, have them on your desktop and what can be done on the desktop, what can be done on your phone, and understand all this shit. It really does take like a bit of time, but it's worth it because I think a lot of people feel the same way. They're like, this is going to be the future. I want to get ahead of this one. And that's kind of how I felt. And it didn't take that long to kind of figure it the fuck out. But it does make a lot of sense, especially if you are a flavor maker, like a person who creates SKUs. And that's essentially what you do. You're creating these SKUs, and you're able to then market off of each SKU very heavily. And that's what all this stuff is all about, is like not only being able to attach it, but being able to then have direct communication with the people that you're marketing to. And that's a very valuable thing. Like you can throw events at your spot where there's a separate line for the NFT holders.
Yeah, that's the incentivized part of doing it. Yeah,
really cool things that you can do, and it's like, oh yeah, man, NFT holder line, and believe me, you have the ability already to create crazy hype. So you'd probably motivate a lot of people to learn a bunch about getting a MetaMask wallet and understanding how to connect it to their Coinbase wallet. And
shit, we'll do a workshop physically in LA and fucking. Here, guys, like
800 pounds mantra, we're down. Like I think that'd be fun. Yep.
You know, I do highly appreciate you guys having me on here, for real, man. Thank you guys, absolutely, Addison, Jameson, for real.
Appreciate you, Mace. Thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for coming on. And you know, if you got anything you want to shout out, any other projects, where can people find you? Where can people find your seeds?
Check me out on Instagram, Masonic_smoker 3.0. I have all my stuff in the link in bio. MasonicSeeds.co is where you'll find any of seeds needs, and MasonicsOnFairfax.com is where you'll find any apparel. But that's kind of how you keep in contact with me. Discord, Telegram, YouTube, Twitch, storefront, you name it, we're on it.
Appreciate you, Mace. Appreciate your time, man. I hope you have a great day.